This is the Authentic Dating series brought to you by Ahmad and David,
where we explore what it takes to have a dating life you're excited about.
Hey guys, I'm David.
I'm Ahmad.
And this is the Authentic Dating series.
In this episode, we want to talk about why leadership and purpose is sexy.
Yeah, this isn't always something that's thought of as like a sexy trait in a man or a woman. I think this is one of our episodes that will be pretty genderless. Yeah. So, so I think that purpose and leadership aren't always traits that people think about when they think about a sexy man or a woman. We're always thinking like, nice ass, nice eyes, good hair, good teeth, big bank balance.
And what about the women?
Hopefully not balding, plenty of grey hairs.
Good moustache.
Wisdom in India, good moustache means, isn't it? A bit of a beard in India, it means like wisdom, I think, if I remember rightly.
Oh, really?
Yeah, from my time out there. There's some bearded women out there.
Oh,
Big up all the bearded women out there. I've, been with a few girls with a few hairs on their chin. Nothing with a couple of hairs.
Interesting. Perhaps another episode on that one.
Maybe, yeah.
Fascinating.
So we get into it. What's leadership? So leadership and purpose. Ahmad, what does leadership mean to you?
Leadership for me means responsibility. And this is one of the big things that comes with purpose, is being responsible for carrying that purpose forward, and also for the people that are following you. Because whatever we decide to do in life, it normally affects other people, especially in terms of creating stuff that is going to impact other people's lives, like this podcast. And so with that comes a responsibility. It comes a responsibility to the people on your team. It's a responsibility for yourself to continue to produce and to create. And also responsibility to the people that are, in this podcast, it's the people that are listening, but the people that we're going to consume, per se.
All you listeners we're responsible for you, because we have to be responsible for you, right? Because of what we say has impact.
Yeah, and so in any position of leadership, really, I mean, a lot of people think, being a leader is cool, you get to be in charge or whatever, but it comes with a great amount of responsibility and the ability to weather the storms that come on the journey. So that's a huge thing.
Yeah, and I guess in your own life, like leadership isn't just taking control, but it's like forging a path forward or forging a path towards what you want. It's like with us here, it was like we wanted to create a podcast. We wanted to create a space where we could really help men in not just dating, but every aspect of dealing with what's going on in life, and help them kind of have pride in their lives and be vulnerable, and see that that's kind of the key to self-expression. So we took a role of leadership in that space, and that took us to creating this podcast that you're listening to.
Cool. And so what would you say is purpose?
Purpose is, I feel like it's a calling, like to do something. Or as someone put to me really well recently, it might actually been you that said it to me, was like, I think it was you, is that your purpose is whatever you're doing right now. I quite like that. Was it you that said that to me recently?
Yeah, actually I heard that from someone else.
Yeah, I like that. Purpose is whatever you're doing right now. Because I think sometimes we get kind of caught up in like, I'm searching for my purpose. I want to find my purpose. And before you know it, it's 20 years of your life have gone by and you've found no purpose. But actually, right now, my purpose is to create an awesome podcast, but equally to just really empower men in dating, but also in what they're dealing with in their lives in terms of emotionally and physically and in being more vulnerable. But equally, my purpose is also doing a great job at my day job, which is, managing people and liaising with people and testing software.
Yeah, and for me, purpose really speaks about where I am focused and what I'm creating in this moment in my life. And the more I follow the path, the more my purpose unfolds. So even with this podcast, there was an initial impetus, reason, sort of instigator behind it. Like we wanted to get back in touch with society, so to speak. Like neither of us had really created with our knowledge and wisdom in the areas that we've experienced in our lives. So then purpose was about, okay, how can I now get in touch with people and share what I know in the most efficient way possible? And a podcast was the most obvious way of doing that. But then there are other areas in which I am seeking to do that. I've mentioned a few times across this podcast how I'm currently working on a comic book / script, a movie style script, and it's all around the same kind of vibe. And so purpose can be very singular. It can be very selfish in one way. Like one can just want to, I don't know, go and live out in the wild by themselves, and their purpose is to find themselves in that respect and spend that time. Equally, purpose can be something you want to do for other people. And I feel that that's where my purpose is right now, is bringing together everything that I've learned and all my experiences and putting that out in a useful way for people to engage with and to ultimately better other people's lives.
And kind of be of service to the world.
Absolutely.
You know, kind of give back to, you know, like I feel like I've lived, as I always joke with people, like I feel like I've lived a pretty good life, and I've learned a lot on the way, and I've experienced a lot of things, and it's given me a level of wisdom and insight into just being alive and living. And I now want to kind of pass that on to other people, and I find this medium of a podcast to be like a really great way to do that. And it happens that one of our expertise is definitely in the world of dating, you know, being former dating coaches and so forth, and being on a shitload of dates over the years, online relationships, breakups, and everything in between. It allows us to kind of have this kind of wisdom, and also I don't want to say detachment, but it's like able to look at our past experiences with a kind of a healthy detachment, you know, of not being them being right or wrong, but just being like their experiences that we've had.
So then why are we saying leadership and purpose is sexy?
Because I think in the realm of like dating and relationships, it's definitely something that has been commented on to me about myself. And also I've heard women talk about other men as it being quite a sexy trait, a man who's leading in his life. And it actually goes into one of the kind of key things they see as being attractive in a man is having power. We always think that power is a really kind of attractive trait, right, in a man. Especially women are looking for men who are powerful. Hence why, you know, CEOs and footballers and blah, 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 very wealthy people often seem to have power because they have money. But equally, what they really have is leadership in their own life, right? And in the world, they have that leadership quality. And it's why sometimes you might meet someone who you might not see as having power, but because they have that leadership in their own life, they have like purpose and leadership and a will to move towards their goals. And they're just very attractive. Like even if you might just even be, as a man, like I find myself sometimes being really attracted to men, not necessarily sexually, but just wanting to be around them because they're on purpose, you know. And it's great to be around people who are on their purpose, moving towards their purpose, and living in their power and their leadership.
It's a very interesting thing you just say there, because I remember again we had dinner with our friend the other day, and one of the things he kept saying as we were, you know, finishing up for the evening, and dinner was done and we'd had our conversations and stuff, and he just kept saying, it's so great to be hanging out with people that are doing something, that are up to something. And that's different to when we say doing something, right? What was obvious about what he was saying in that particular context wasn't simply, you know, just living life and eating and breathing and working. Because this guy that I'm referring to is someone he's actually a very powerful guy.
And he's really making shit happen in his life.
Yeah. Like financially, but also, you know, but also just in how he lives and how he creates his own life, and how he also helps other people. But one of the interesting things that he said, and he hangs around with other wealthy people, and he mentioned how, but for a lot of them, they seemed soulless is not the word. It's just kind of like they weren't excited. They weren't necessarily creating from things that they enjoyed, but rather they were just doing stuff in order for it to be done. And maybe it was just money focused, but there wasn't any purpose behind what they were doing. They were just, you know, kind of just doing what everyone else was doing.
Yeah.
And having that. So then the first point we want to make, and there's about 7 to 8 points here around the sexiness of leadership and purpose, the sexiness.
Sexy.
And the first thing, and this is why I feel that purpose is crucial for both men and women, and what makes it highly attractive is that when you have purpose, when you have something that you desire to get done, as David was saying, having the will to create and manifest in your life through your own hand, through your own volition and your own energy and time and effort, is that it naturally conjures up your leadership. It's like a natural leadership. And you're leading yourself on this journey, and you have to will it. No one else can make you do that. No one's going to get you out of bed in the morning and say you must do it. And if that is, I mean, in the cases where that is the case, right, there's always a lack of substance in that when someone's being pushed by someone else. But when someone's just purely like doggedly on their own mission, there is a magnetic quality as they go forth.
And it's magnetic on so many levels. It might just be like meeting friends, or, you know, in this case, as you're a guy meeting women, you'd be surprised that when you start to really be in your leadership and be on your purpose, that you're going to meet women. They're going to come across you. You might just be standing in a bar somewhere. You might be going to a meetup. You might be going to a meeting, and you're going to meet people who are all equally on purpose as well. And you're going to just radiate kind of this attractiveness to them, because you're going to talk with passion as well about what it is that you're leading yourself towards. Like, it may well be, you know, in our cases, it's like, I feel very much at the moment like our purpose is this podcast and what we create out of this. And I talk with real passion when I meet people and tell them about the podcast and what we're doing. And it can be quite a confronting issue for women. Like, you know, I'm a single man, and, you know, if you go on a date and you tell a woman, yeah, so I'm doing a podcast about dating and kind of self-awareness and consciousness, that can be quite confronting. But equally, when I start talking about it and why we're doing it and like what it's about, and I openly say listen to it as well, it becomes actually, I would say, quite a thing of beauty to listen to. You know, or they kind of see, this guy's really passionate about this. It's really part of his purpose.
And I like what you said there about the communication, because that's actually a really important part of leading and being a leader, is that you're able to enroll people on what you're up to and what you're creating. And again, when you have a purpose, when you have something that you're into, that you really want to get done, you naturally, again, speak about it in such a way it's not contrived.
Yeah.
You're not having to force that. It happens. The next point, the second point, which is really interesting, because in a previous episode, we spoke about nice guys and what they can do to better their dating. And when you have a purpose, essentially, you know, you really want to get this done. And what that naturally causes is that you spend time by yourself. And this is an authentic sort of way of being busy. You know, there's a lot of talk in dating circles or dating advice about not texting women back too soon, or, you know, someone being too eager or spending
too available.
Time. Exactly. But when you actually have something that you're actually doing and really care about, then this is not a game. You're not playing games. You're actually doing it. Yeah. You know, and you're out there. And I know this has been, and we've had this conversation many a time, even girls that we've dated who have been busy and have been doing stuff, and they're not pretending not to get back to us. They're actually, you know, and we appreciate that they're busy, that they're doing stuff with their lives, and actually we admire that, and we appreciate it because, as you said in the first point, that it's an energy, it's a vibration that you attract to other people, and you get it. Like, we're on this planet, and our lives are short, and we want to create things and do things. So by having purpose, you're naturally creating the vibe that, you know what, I'm up to something.
Yeah. And I think that this is, you know, your purpose can be something, purpose sounds like it's always massive and large, but your purpose might be to just get in shape. Your purpose might be to create a $1 million business. Your purpose might be to build a beautiful home. Your purpose might be just to, you know, have a great family and relationship. You know, your purpose, it really can just be so many different things that you're up to. It doesn't always have to be very grand and money driven things. It could just be, you know, you might just want to have a beautiful collection of stamps. You know, that might be your purpose, and you're out there searching for stamps, and you know, you're looking for them or whatever it may be. But that equally, your purpose doesn't have to be something that appears noble to other people. I think sometimes we get lost in that idea that it has to be a noble pursuit. It can just be whatever, you know, whatever your heart yearns to do and yearns to kind of follow.
And that brings us to the third point, which is about being in your flow of your life and energized by what it is that your purpose, your mission, or whatever you're creating, whether it be stamps, whether it be a business or podcast, or being getting into fitness. You are drawn by your purpose towards your purpose. And what's interesting about this is there's so much in terms of productivity out there about not procrastinating, or you should be doing this, or waking up early, or this and that, and the 1,001 ways in which you can better your productivity. But when you have purpose, no one needs to tell you what to do. You get on with it. You just do it.
You just do it. But I'd add to that as well that, you know, it's not always going to be easy to be kind of being on your purpose. Maybe you're trying to write a book and you suffer from writer's block, or, you know, sometimes you're just not feeling it. You know, you're going to have those moments, and too, it's not always going to be kind of in flow and be beautiful. There's going to be times of struggle and hardship. And yeah, it's like, and that flow will be, it's like I said, it's an energy, and you energize the people around you. And there's nothing more beautiful for me, like as a man, to meet a woman and talk to her about what she loves doing or what her purpose is, and whatever, you know, what she loves doing, passions. Because I think passions and purpose really go hand in hand often. And just see see her face light up and talk about it, and just be like, wow, yeah, that's something she really loves, you know. And it's really, really, I just think it's so sexy. To me, it's incredibly sexy to meet a woman. And I know I've spoken to many women about this as well, and they feel exactly the same about men. When a man kind of has something he really loves, is really on purpose, really driven by.
Well, I think you're jumping ahead of each point here, because the fourth point is about loving yourself. And this is a very interesting one, and something that was relayed to me about a year ago or a bit more, was that if I'm in a relationship and I'm not loving who I am, and sorry, the fourth point was loving yourself, if that wasn't clear. But if I'm in a relationship and I'm not doing things in my life that I'm loving, and that I know that I want to be doing these things, then this is going to sound weird, but I think it's going to resonate for a lot of people, is that the person that I'm with, I will look at them and wonder, like, why are they with me? Like, how can they be with me if I'm not on purpose, if I'm not loving my life and doing what I'm doing because I want to do it? Then I'm going to kind of, in a roundabout way, look at them and think, there must be something wrong with them if they're with me.
Yeah.
And I'm not living a life of purpose.
That's a really interesting point there. How, you know, you look at how people view you if you're not doing your thing and doing what you love doing, and that, you know, that it kind of reflects on yourself as well as them. I think loving yourself and who you are, it's like, I think we talk about self-love a lot in this day and age, which I think is a great thing to talk about, because I think it's not something that, you know, I've even really started to think about until maybe the last kind of 10 years of my life. But actually starting to like nourish yourself, whether it be going to the gym is nourishing for you, or getting pedicures. Like, I love a pedicure. You know, it's, for me, it's just such a really like an act of it's so unnecessary. Really, you don't need to go and get a pedicure, but it's just really relaxing to go and have someone just look after you a little bit. And I do that for myself sometimes. I go and I get a pedicure and it feels great. But equally, you know, getting massages, but then also it could be just doing things you love doing, reading the things you love reading, or just going for a walk in the park, and just generally kind of looking after yourself, nourishing yourself as a human being. And equally as well is spending time with people you really love, who are equally on purpose, or just people you enjoy spending time with. I know we went into an episode, I think it was episode 12, where we talked about the secrets of every successful man, which was a men's group. And I know that's something that's really kind of nourished me in the last kind of 10 years of my life, is having a group of men who I can go to and talk about, you know, my feelings and my thoughts. And yeah, just adding to the kind of love in your life.
Cool, man. So So the fifth point that's really important when it comes to purpose and leadership, especially in relationships, but also just in dating, is that you have a lot more to bring to that relationship, to that person. You actually have things that you can share about yourself, as opposed to kind of being that guy who has an empty cup and wants other people to fill their cup and get that joy from other people. You have so much that you want to do in life and that you want to contribute. And I had this conversation with my girlfriend once where I was like, for the two of us, it's amazing when we're both in our own purpose. Then the two of us make 200%.
Yeah.
Rather than, together we're making 100%.
Yeah.
We're actually bringing more to each other and to the relationship and to our lives. It's and I was saying to David as well when we were discussing this, like we have a friend of ours who really personifies this concept. He's traveled, he's done many things, he's very successful in his corporate career, and I can just see how in his relationship it allows him to contribute to his wife with regard to experiences and life experiences. She can contribute to him with her life experiences, and together they make such a beautiful couple because of what they have created together. And now that they have a family, that's only going to bestow upon their child and their family going on. It's just a richer and richer experience, as opposed to two people half living and moping and not feeling great about themselves. And this is not to say you have to be like financially superior than other people or always be traveling and stuff. It's just about really engaging in life in a way that you choose to engage in and enjoying that. The other day I went for a walk around Victoria Park in East London, and there's a canal there, and just as the evening, like the sun was going down, and I walked past one particular canal boat, and I just saw a couple in the canal boat, like making dinner or something. And I just thought, wow, what a great life. Like, in their experience of life. Beautiful. Yeah. In their experience of life, they live on water, they live in this confined little space, but I could see they had a whole bunch of books, and it was very like cozy, cute looking environment. And, they're not doing what everyone else is doing, or just having to, feel like they're copying other people or must have this and that. They created their own life, and it just seemed beautiful, right? And I can only imagine for them that was really on purpose for them. That was really in their own vein and how they wanted to live.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I really, there's nothing more to say for me there. It's just like you just have so much more energy to add to a relationship, and you have so much more energy to bring and thoughts and ideas to bring when you're out doing something you love doing and doing something that you're interested in. And like I'm really getting into my photography these days, and it's just great to meet people and talk to them about what they do and equally kind of bring what I'm doing. And it's like I'm not in a relationship, but I was seeing someone last year, and there was a moment where we kind of woke up in my place, and I think I had some photos I need to edit, I need to send off to someone, and she had some reading she had to do, and I remember sitting down and I was doing my editing on my laptop, and she was kind of sitting on my patio reading some stuff. And I remember just kind of sitting here and being like, we're not even communicating at all, but this is such a beautiful scene. I'm doing my thing, she's doing her thing, but we're doing our thing together here but it's because what we're doing is really important to both of us, and we kind of respect that in each other.
Yeah, that's really cool. And again, the next point is on being an equal to your partner. And I know this is an issue for a lot of guys, especially who feel initially quite insecure, or perhaps they class themselves as more needy, and then they end up putting the women in their lives, or the women that they're dating, on a higher pedestal, or on a pedestal rather, and they don't value their own position in the relationship. And again, it's like this lack of leadership in their own life, and this lack of purpose for what they want to do. Like you're saying there about the girl you were seeing at the time, and she had her thing and she was doing, and you were doing your thing, and you're both, you don't have to be in each other's arms constantly, nor do you have to be jealous of the other person or feel like you're lesser, not necessarily jealous, but kind of feeling like inadequate. Yeah. Like you're actually in alignment. And the important thing here is when we're saying purpose, and I'm just highlighting it here as a point, you're not doing it just for doing sake. You're actually loving it.
Yeah.
And so for me at the moment, as I keep mentioning this script stuff, like I'm doodling, storyboarding, like the scenes and whatnot, right? And my girlfriend could be working on a pitch or something, and for me it's something that I love doing, and I'm really pouring my energy and good vibes into that, and so then we're both feeling creative and alive.
And it just really brings you kind of together on an energetic level, because you're both kind of vibrating and doing in things you love. Whereas if you've kind of, I see this in relationships, sometimes you have this kind of lopsidedness, and purpose can really, it doesn't always appear how you think it is. It's like, you might have one person and their purpose is like their career, their business, and they're really in that. And like equally, the other person their purpose might not be so obvious to you, right? If you're looking at a couple, that their purpose might be just, like I said, I have a wonderful home, and they might be into gardening. They might love gardening, right? And they have a beautiful garden, and they keep that. But equally, those two people, they both have their things they really love doing. And it's like they can bring that energy into their relationships and just make the relationship more vibrant and exciting.
So, yeah, the next point here is about knowing yourself. And this is really, this is something that when I was young, I was like desperately trying to know myself and know exactly everything about me. But the older I get, I realize that knowing oneself is actually part of the journey, and is also something you learn more and more.
Amen.
Different things that you discover as you grow, things you just weren't aware of when you were younger, because you just hadn't been exposed. Whether it's you've traveled to countries and seen different things that you just weren't exposed to, or you've realized and recognized things that you enjoy doing. And so again, choosing a purpose and being on a purpose, like, David and I, we weren't born making podcasts.
Shame that, innit?
we had no idea, how to do any of this stuff. And thanks to the internet and Bill Gates for creating such a great infrastructure with a lot of what he's done here.
What did Bill Gates do for you?
Just computers by and large. IBM. He took that to on a mass scale.
We got to thank Steve Jobs, because
we use Apple now.
We're using Mac now.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, Steve Jobs.
Who's the guy that created the internet?
I don't know, that guy who no one remembers. I think he's the sort of famous that I'd like to be.
Isn't that like Tim?
Tim something.
Tim something.
We'll try and get Tim on the show. He'll talk about his greatness.
He's not alive anymore, bro.
He's dead.
No, yeah, I've seen a statue of him.
Oh shit, man.
But if I remembered his name, I would have said his name instead of Bill Gates.
Yeah.
Point being, those as David mentioned earlier, that purpose is what you're doing in the moment. And as you follow a path, other things come into your periphery. Like I can actually use David as an example again. Like, photography wasn't his thing, for a long time. Yeah, you were more into point and shoot cameras. But then, you got into photography, you went traveling, and now you're like, you know what? Actually, I want to put more time into this, because it's something that I find that I enjoy doing to a high level. And, now you're actually making a bit of money from this as well. And you continue to learn. And
just like, it also allows me to kind of feed another passion of mine, is kind of people and being around people. And I've been shooting a lot of portraits recently for people, and it's like, it's a really interesting creative outlet, because equally you need to sit with people and talk to them. And to kind of segue in something else, through being around people, like, it's allowed me to learn about myself, and I feel like I've done a lot of learning about myself in the last, 7 or 8 years, because I just see it as just like a really vital part of my own life to understand myself more and more. And it's like Ahmad said, it's like, I feel like it's a never ending journey. There's no kind of destination to being like, I know myself now. I know everything about myself. Like, I'm there. Like, there's nothing more to know, because I think there's always just some unfolding and knowing, and more as you go on. There's layers that you peel back, and things that you see that you haven't seen in a certain way before. But it's just such a fascinating thing to involve yourself in and get on the road and start doing.
Yeah, and with that, and the final point in regards to purpose that we want to make today is that when you're on that path, then naturally you develop a willingness to deal and work on essentially your own shit.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, when we talk about shit, it's like your own kind of dysfunction, your own,
You wrote trauma here.
yeah, it's like, you know, things happen in your life and they, I don't want to use the word scar you, they leave a mark on you in some way. You know, it might be your own childhood. It might be that, you know, like myself, like I didn't really have a strong father figure in my life, and I see how this has left a mark on me through my life, in terms of, even very much in terms of my dating life. I definitely see, especially in my kind of early 20s, where I didn't even have an idea what a relationship was meant to look like, you know, or we had a really strong belief that, you know, relationships don't work. Like, and that really came from my own upbringing. But actually, like, I spent some time to like really delve into that, whether that be kind of a lot of reading, a lot of like workshops in kind of uncovering where that come from, and also looking at ways in which I could go, oh, actually, that's not how the world is. That's just a belief that I had, you know, and it's a willingness to kind of deal with that shit in my life, right? And this all comes from being a leader in my life and wanting to kind of forge forward towards my goals, but seeing that there's some things that are getting in my way. In the realm of dating, for a lot of you guys, you may see, or girls, because I think this is a really kind of, as I said, genderless episode. You may see that, you know, your upbringing is affecting your own dating, you know, how you're being in relationships, or how you see men, or how you see women, and how you interact with them. It's like worth stopping and going, okay, oh, I'm really needy, for instance, right? I'm always trying to get validation. It's like, okay, where does that come from? How were things when I was a child? What was my first relationships like? You know, what did I view as how a relationship is meant to be? And then you go, oh, wait a minute, fuck, that comes from this. Or there may be a single occurrence that's happened in your life, you know, that's had you view women as being, I don't know, dangerous or controlling or angry, or whatever it may be. And without you dealing with that, or a willingness to deal with that, that's going to just keep fucking you up for the rest of your life, right? So until you're willing to go, oh, fuck, let me really examine that and acknowledge that that's happened, and even kind of speak to people about it, whether it be, you know, you may decide to go and get formal help in the realm of like therapy and stuff like that, which I think is an amazing way to kind of deal with these things. Like, it used to be a huge taboo, and I'm seeing now that therapy is just so much more acceptable in the UK, which is awesome. But equally, you may go down other routes in terms of other types of healing that are out there, whether it be, you know, self-help groups. You may want to get involved in like more natural healing ways. I'm trying to think of some, AJ. What can you think of? Sound healing there's out there. There's voice healing.
Breath work.
There's breath work. I did some breath work the other week, actually, which is amazing. Like, a lot of emotion came out from that, which was really beautiful. Really felt very clear afterwards, even up to things that we've done like ayahuasca, which I feel really cool to talk about that in a whole episode at some point, which, you know, can be very, very cleansing and help with kind of past trauma and dealing with that.
So how would you say then, in this particular point then, how does this relate back to the sexiness of purpose?
I think when you're kind of willing to go, okay, I've got this shit, I've got this dysfunction, for instance, in my life, and I'm not just trying to hide from it, you know, and go, okay, I'm willing to take this on, tackle this, and go, what is this? Look at it. It's kind of how you talk about the shadow. There's these shadow parts of us, and going, okay, instead of trying to hide from your shadow parts of yourself, is to kind of look at them and examine them, and also accept them and go, this is just part of who I am. This is part of what's happened, and it's there, and it's okay that it's there, and acknowledge it and accept it. But equally go, I don't have to keep doing this. You know, I don't have to keep making this mistake again and again in your life. Like, maybe you have an issue around, you know, being emotionally unavailable as a man. It's a really common thing for men to be, and women also to be emotionally unavailable. But where does that come from? Is that because you're afraid to accept love from somebody? Is there something that happened in your life where, you know, you accepted love and it went wrong for you in some way, and you're just now living out of that fear of that trauma happening again, instead of going, oh shit, this trauma happened, I have a fear about kind of accepting love from people. And equally, when you meet new partners and go, this thing happened to me, which means that sometimes I do these dysfunctional things. And that's like quite a vulnerable thing to do, to kind of come out and say that to a partner or potential partner. That's how you're being. And you'd be really surprised how that level of vulnerability really just brings people together and connects people.
Yeah, and what I hear as well is that it really portrays that your willingness to deal with your own stuff in that respect, like and deal with conflict and the desire to continue growing, continue moving forward, and so all of this stuff, these points we've covered, it's all been about purpose and following your own purpose. And so I would say in this week's exercise, it would be to really simplify. So first, consider not like 20, 30 years down the line, but what is your purpose right now? Like, what are you engaged in? Maybe some of you are out there wanting to study, or you are studying a vocation that you're into, or you want to raise a family, or you want to be in a relationship, and that is your purpose. And something a mentor of mine said to me recently was, have a plan, not because the plan is going to carry you all the way there, because most plans don't survive the light of day, but rather you have a plan to get you going. And this is what we're saying about purpose. You have a plan to get you going, and doesn't mean that it's going to last, but it gets you going. And then as we've covered in this episode, the more you move further along, you will discover other things, and it may take you on a different path. But the point is that you are on your way. So just to recap that exercise, it's to have a look at your life and look at what are you up to right now? What are you creating? Where do you want to go? Where do you want to be? And not to think too far ahead, but rather in the near future, maybe a purpose for the next 6 months, or maybe the next year, but maximum, I'd say, in the next 2 years. And then see how you want to go about creating that. So then, just to recap now, in this session, we have discussed about why leadership and purpose is sexy. We've given our definitions of leadership and our definitions of purpose. And the points that we covered around purpose and leadership and why that ends up in basically making you more attractive is purpose purpose brings out natural leadership. When you're passionate about something and you want to get something done, you naturally go into a mode of leadership. You know you want to get something done, and you do what you know best to do to get it done. It also creates an authentic time by yourself and focus on what you're doing, which means that you're not going to be constantly vying for the attention of whomsoever you want to date, and you're not coming across as needy for those guys who often find that's a problem. The next thing that we mentioned was about how it creates the flow and being in the flow of your life and energized by your own sense of self and mission, which leads on to you loving yourself. That was the following point, and who you are. And then by doing all of that, you end up having something to actually contribute to a relationship. You're not coming to someone else with an empty cup hoping that they're going to make your life better.
You're there, your cup's overflowing, and you're trying to flow into their cup too.
Yeah, you got something to contribute, and it makes for a much more wholesome and rounded relationship, which was the next point. You're actually having stuff to contribute. So then, that puts you on an equal level with your partner, and you're together, the sum of the two parts is larger than, the individual. And ultimately leading to you knowing yourself better, learning about who you are on the path. And through doing that, naturally you're going to want to work and discover what your blockages are, what your hang-ups are, what you feel holds you back. And all in all, you're just driven, and it's very simple, hence why the exercise was just about focusing on what it is right now that you want to create, and really getting into that and understanding if you're feeling blocked, what are the blockages, how can you get around them? No matter what you're dealing with, guarantee you that there's numerous hundreds of people, thousands even, who've been through that before.
And I'd just like to add to that as well is like, if you've got some blockages in terms of your purpose and what you're trying to move forward with, just get in contact with us. Like, this is something that we've spent a lot of time in the last few years really kind of learning about ourselves, like our own kind of purpose, and removing some of those blockages. And also we're really connected to like a whole bunch of coaches that they're trained in helping with people's purpose. And some of them have really helped us. So this is something we could definitely kind of, ping us a message on Instagram. We're at Authentic Dating Series. Or email us at hello@Authentic Dating Series. Like, we're here to be of service and help where we can.
That was hello@AuthenticDatingSeries.com.
Did I say that wrong?
Well, you missed out the .com.
Yeah, but everyone knows there's a .com now.
Might be a .co.uk.
Okay, he's right.
.net.
.net.
Anything these days.
.tv.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so I think that's everything today. I really enjoyed this episode, actually. This is something I feel really kind of heartfelt about. So yeah, so if you've enjoyed it, get up on iTunes and just, subscribe and give us a review, because it really helps us spread our word a bit wider and get it out to the people who we feel really could benefit from our words.
Cool,
guys. Thank you. Thanks for listening, and enjoy, and have a great day. Ciao, ciao.